It didn't turn, oh, there it goes.
To give you your oath of office.
You just get a red dot in the front of this?
Yes.
It's on.
Okay, if we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone.
Ron.
Welcome to Washington, the Village of Washingtonville Board Work Session Meeting, Monday, November 5th, 2018. I just have a few announcements to make, and then we'll get into our agenda. Washingtonville Parade was held this past Sunday, yesterday. 60 dogs and their owners walked from Memorial Park down Ahern Boulevard to Vernon Allen Park, where they were greeted by several vendors that were there. Flannery Animal Hospital was there. It was postponed from Saturday to Sunday, so a few vendors, actually, I believe, Adoption Agency was going to be there on Saturday, but they could not make it on Sunday. There was a grand marshal to the parade, and they seemed to have a good time. Christmas parade is scheduled for Saturday, December 1 at 6 p.m. Details will follow on our Facebook page as well as our website and from the Chamber of Commerce page and website. I placed a telephone call today to the DEC regarding questions that came up on Facebook this past weekend regarding how this board is not paying attention to the Woodland Creek, and that we're more concerned about a dog park. It was mentioned in the post that years ago the village board inquired about dredging the creek. I will be meeting with the DEC once this information is available. They're going to go back to early 2000 to see whatever the correspondence was since then with the Village of Washingtonville and the DEC. I will, of course, make all that information public to our residents. At our last meeting, a resident mentioned that our taxes will be increased in 65%. Obviously, it was a rumor because we haven't even begun our budget process, but I know it's not going to be 65%. This board's vision is to decrease taxes whenever possible. Zoning meeting is to be rescheduled for November 20th at 7:05. At that same meeting, I would like to hold a State of the Village meeting. FOIL request had come through, which has prompted this meeting. It's a good thing. At that meeting, everything dating back will be presented to the public. Okay, so it's going to be a long night, but a good night. So that's what is on store for November. So November 20th, mark your calendars. That's what we're looking for. Tonight, Ryan Irwin, solar application.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you, sir? Here, of course, to follow up on the application for approval of the solar site plan. So I know there's a number of things in the works that the board has had under review, one of which was the county plan and response letter in response to the 239M county review. I think that letter came in last week. So hopefully you've had a chance to digest that. I have, and I'm happy to discuss that with you, or anything else that you wish to discuss about the project.
Well, I think we need to go item by item, okay? There are 6, whether suggestions or determinations from the county. The first one is the Orange County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board, also known as the AFPB, unanimously adopted a new policy strongly advising municipalities to avoid sitting solar panels or solar farms on soils that are designated U.S. Department of Agriculture. Class 1 through 4 The OC Planning Department, Orange County Planning Department, is directed to incorporate this policy into the review of the New York State General Municipal Law, Section 239, planning and zoning referrals from municipalities. Enclosed, please find a map indicating the soils of the proposed projects. Municipalities ideally should direct and prioritize solar development on previously disturbed areas such as landfills or brownfields, as well as existing buildings and parking lots. Prime agricultural lands defined by mapping soil type should be used as the last resort. We recommend that the applicant and the property owner be aware that the portion of the property that will be used for a solar energy facility may not be able to receive an agricultural assessment if it is receiving such assessment at the time. Furthermore, the installation of a solar energy facility on existing agricultural land located within a county agricultural district may impact the parcel status within the agricultural district. The village should coordinate with the town of Blooming Grove because this property abuts the town of Blooming Grove. Moreover, a pending solar facility is planned on Woodcock Mountain Road, just several hundred feet from this proposed project. I'm under the understanding that that is not going to happen.
And we're not aware of that project, nor
Okay.
am I aware that it's
I
that close to
thought,
the property.
I was told that it was the same company, but that is not going to happen. So
Yeah.
we're all by ourselves now on that.
Okay, okay.
Page 12 of the full environmental assessment form indicates the presence of Indiana bats and northern long-eared bats within 1.7 miles and 3.8 miles respectively, as well as the presence of suitable habitat for the following protected species: dwarf wedge mussel, small woodland begonia, and the bog turtle. Be careful of those bog turtles. As a result, it is critical that the applicant avoid affecting this habitat by abstaining from the use of herbicides, planting and maintaining mature bat-preferred shagbark trees, and providing oversized buffers. Now, on page 12 of the full assessment form, which is located in your packet, which, I'm sorry.
Where did Rich's packet
Yeah,
go?
I didn't see it in there either. Thank you.
You do mention it. Okay. Does the project site contain any species of plant or animal that is listed by New York State as rare or a species of special concern? You're saying no, they're saying yes.
I think it depends on the semantics of that question, I'd have to look at it, but, so the environmental submittals we made include a habitat report that does include recognition of these species. It also includes discussion of these species and why they're not a concern in terms of where we're siting the project. For instance, the begonia, the wedge mussel, those would be off into areas we wouldn't be using, probably near the stream. The bats is the one thing we see everywhere on every project up here. Really anywhere you have woods in New York State, you're gonna run into Indiana bat and northern long-eared bat. And so what the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service asks, and therefore the DEC asks, is that you recognize a clearing window in the winter and clear trees within that window. So on this site, we're obviously using mostly open hayfield. There are some small sections, some stands that Mr. Casaza had kind of let grow up over the years that used to be hayfields. So those sort of immature stands of trees will be taken down. We're talking about just under 2 acres or thereabouts. And so the window that Fish and Wildlife suggests or allows for clearing of trees to protect the bats is October 1st through March 31st. So we would be looking to get out before March 31st and take any trees that need to be cleared during that time. they don't want you clearing during the summer roosting period, breeding season. So the other half of the year is prohibited. And we're doing this on 3 other projects in the area where we're going to clear before the March 31st window ends.
Okay, so you have to provide documentation to the county for this?
No, so the county's letter is simply recommendations. They're referring it for local action to this board. So you guys review, we can discuss it, but really they've left it up to local action. So you're supposed to, I believe, inform the county of any action you take as a board with regard to this application. So I think there's a process for that. But in terms of us directly responding to the county, we would, that would not be standard procedure.
I understand the window for cutting the trees, but it says if it becomes necessary, further coordination and consultation with Fish and Wildlife and DEC will be conducted. So I think before the tree cutting, even though you want to get them down before March, I think that has to go, still has to, before you do that, go through Fish and Wildlife again.
So even before we submitted this project under 239M, we did consult with the DEC. That's why on our environmental forms, we checked certain boxes based on due diligence that we had already done. So we have consulted with those agencies and reviewed their databases and so forth. We have environmental consultants who do that and do this regularly. And so what we've provided in terms of our seeker package and the habitat reports are sort of the bookend of that process. And the letter from the county sort of comes outside of that process, but it's somewhat of a repeat of the due diligence that we've done on these subjects.
Good, can we do that?
Yeah.
Number 4, the New York State Department of Conservation, also known as DEC, lists 2 bats as endangered or threatened. For this reason, it's essential to include bat-preferred trees, such as shagbark tree, in the applicant's tree buffering and replacement plans.
So there's no landscaping plan here due to the location of site, out of sight, from roads, from homes, and so forth. We've never planted trees for bats on projects. Bats like dead trees, trees that have lost their branches, have hollowed out spaces in them, in the trunks. That's where they roost. So we would not plant, at least I've never heard of planting a new tree as a habitat for the bat.
Well, the submitted materials did not include a tree planting plan, so you're right, you didn't provide it.
Right.
It is essential to screen the proposed solar facility from nearby neighbors and the road. The entire fence perimeter should have an all-year vegetation screening. Planting bat-preferred trees along the Woodcock Road frontage would camouflage the solar system while mitigating the effects of both endangered bat species. Now, Woodcock Mountain Road is probably...
Yeah, I can see this
Yeah,
when we're talking about.
no,
I think it's almost a half
it's
mile. So,
probably,
yeah.
okay. It's the county.
Yep.
Page 8, the full environmental assessment plan states that herbicides will be used. Due to the on-site wetlands and streaming leading to the nearby Mooney Creek, herbicides should not be permitted. The sloping hill will carry decades of rainwater through such chemicals and into the creek. This will also affect the soils and compromise its future once decommissioned. The applicant should refrain from use of herbicides or chemicals and rather perform a chemical-free operation that is memorialized via a legal document. This office discourages the use of herbicides in favor of safer alternatives that will protect nearby wetlands, encourage the proliferation of wildlife and threatened plants, and promote the potential of further agricultural production. We suggest planting a native, bee-friendly pollinator meadow as projected heights do not interfere with the solar panels and or permitting of grazing of farm animals such as sheep, to maintain vegetation growth. New York State and Assembly passed the Pollinator-Friendly Solar Act. Number is A08083A/S06339A on June 11, 2018. So we probably have to look at that latest law on this.
Yes, yep, that law has actually not been signed by the governor, to my knowledge. It has passed the assembly. So just backing up, I guess, to the herbicides, we also don't promote the use of herbicides. We use herbicides as sparingly as possible to eliminate invasives and certain weeds as we are attempting to get the ground cover to grow. The fescue mix that we usually use a mix of 5 or 6 fescue seeds. It forms a very dense, robust turf that requires very little mowing. That said, we are, and on other projects